Welcome back to another episode of From the Heart. I'm your host, Chloe Trca, and this is a podcast where we talk all things health, wellness, business, lifestyle, mindset, anything I'm walking through in my life. I like to turn around and give like big sister advice to you so you can learn from my mistakes, learn from my life experience, and apply it to yours to help better your walk through whatever journey you are in. Today, I'm excited. This is 5 things you need in your early 20s. For context, I'm 24 years old, 24 like and a half almost years old, which is nuts. No, not really. No, I'm like 24. My birthday was the end of July. What am I saying? But I have just been walking through a lot of seasons in life, and this was really on my heart because I'm realizing like what's most important in my life and like what I need. It was inspired actually based on a rut. Let's get into a little chat, you guys. I was in the biggest rut yesterday and the day before. I recently went back home to my hometown. I had 2 weddings. One was my cousin's wedding. One was a high school friend's wedding. So much fun. But being back home, being back in like older environments, it's hard. I've told you guys, like when I go back home in Iowa, I typically have to pray before I go home, because not that I ran away from my problems, not that I ran away from who I was there, but I have just had so much transformation in myself since moving to Arizona like 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. I met God, like I got saved here in Arizona. I started dabbling in going to church and all of that back in Iowa, like the year before I moved. Started making slow transitions, but I didn't see any like legit change and transformation in my life until moving to Arizona. But your environments are everything. So when you're in an old environment, a lot of old habits, old memories surface, old feelings, old thoughts surface. And I just experienced a lot of, I don't even want to call it warfare. It was just a really weird experience, I'll be honest. And I think if any of you guys have moved out of your hometown, you've went home, like you've experienced maybe something similar. And if you haven't, this will still apply to you, because these are all things that you need in your early 20s, regardless of if you've left or if you haven't. But again, the point behind this little short story about my life rut was because during this rut, I was like, okay, I need to get myself out of this. Like, I can't be like this. I was in a funk, like a funk. I should say more of a funk than a rut. I was in a funk. Like, I was off, and I just felt so like disassociated from myself. It was really weird. Like, I just wanted to get back to Arizona. I wanted to reground, regroup. Like, I love being home. Like, I love Iowa. I love my family and friends, but I just don't love who I am. Well, it's a weird thing, because you should love your past self and just be proud of her for like the transformations you've made and the growth that you've made. But I didn't love looking back. Like, I wouldn't want to be that version of myself anymore. And it's hard when those people haven't necessarily seen you. Well, I post my life online, so they have seen transformations, but they don't know that version of Chloe. And so it's just kind of weird sometimes. And anyway, I was in a funk from this weekend, and I was really reflecting, and I was like, okay, how do we get out of this funk? And the first thing I needed to do was kind of like dig up. I was like, what got me here? Like, why actually am I feeling like I'm in such a funk? And again, obviously my environment's everything. So for you guys, like if you're in a funk, reflect on your environment. Like, who are you hanging around? Where are you going? What are you doing? How are you spending your time? Are you bettering yourself, or are you falling into bad habits, or what is it? And for me, for example, like, I'll be honest, I was not reading my Bible when I was there. Like, I was there for 5 days. I went to church on Sunday morning, but that was the only time. I listened to worship music on one run that I went on. And in 5 days, I worked out twice. I did 1 3-mile run, and I did 1 lift the first day that I was there. So that's all really not normal for me. So I'm like dependent on reading my Bible, getting in the Word. Like, it makes a difference. And every time I miss it, I notice. And I missed my young adults night, so I hadn't been to church as much. And I was lacking spiritually, but I was also lacking like physically. I was not moving my body. I was not getting the endorphin rush that I depend heavily on. Both of those 2 things I depend heavily on to feel like myself, to be honest. I'm just a better version of Chloe when I've got a workout in and I've read my Bible, talked to the Lord, prayed, and just feel close to God. And I was not any of those things. And then mix that in with a bad environment, or an old environment, let's say, it was kind of a recipe for disaster. And I'm like, why did I do that to myself? I will never do that to myself again. But I actively wanted to kind of work out of this rut and work out of it and feel better. And so yesterday I spent the whole day, like I got right into my Bible, spent a good amount of time in my Bible, went on a run to worship music, and then I went to solid core just to move my body, sweat, get back into a groove, immediately like cleaned and organized my apartment. And then I went to Trader Joe's, got some groceries and stuff. I love Trader Joe's, love grocery shopping. And then I had two of my like three of my best friends come over and we had like a pizza night. And I needed that. And that all kind of plays into these 5 things I'm going to go through. Because like I went to bed feeling like a different person in the best way possible. Like I needed the joy of my friends. I needed the endorphins from like working out. I needed routine and like just my home and my environment that I'm used to, and that I thrive in. And I needed God. And I didn't have any of those for 5 days. And it really took a toll on me. So I'm like, wow, can you imagine if I didn't have any of those things for a long period of time where I'd be at? Like, no wonder I was maybe sad girly back in 2022 or whatever, because I lacked all of that. And so for you guys, these are 5 things that you need in your early 20s, especially, but honestly, all throughout life. Like there isn't a season of life you don't need these 5 things. And the first one is just a routine that supports you and that isn't draining you. You need a balance of like fun and also health and wellness, and rest. It can't just be over hustle and over training and just overdoing it. You need to have a good balance, and everyone's balance is going to be different, but that's the power of like trial and error. And I know my routine here. It took me a little bit. I made a podcast on change. I was adjusting, I was adapting, but I've been here a month and a half in my new place. And I feel like I finally have like a good routine, and I was really on track, you guys. Like I felt like the best I ever felt going into that trip, like physically, mentally. I just felt really, really good. And so there's power in like your environment and, like I said, what you spend your time on, because where your time goes exactly correlated to like who you'll become. Like if you're in the gym all the time, yeah, you're going to be more fit and you're going to be more healthy. If you're in the Bible and you're in the word and you're reading, yeah, you're going to be closer to God. Like it's kind of like an input output. You get what you put in formula. And I think that's beautiful because it's really like about consistency and effort. And if the effort and consistency are there, like you're going to see results. And that's why it's so important. Like where are we putting our time? Are we doom scrolling? Are we around people who aren't calling us higher? And what I mean by that is like friendships who, if you're Christ-centered friendships, if you're wanting to pursue the Lord, like be around people who will like call you higher. And don't get it wrong for like calling you out. A lot of times it's all about the heart posture and it's about the way they deliver it. But say you're my friend and you're out there drinking and hooking up with boys, a woman of God and a friend, like a sister in Christ, would be like, hey, like, why are we all of a sudden like doing that? Like, why did you go out last night? Maybe I thought you had given that up. I thought you kind of laid that down, or thought you were like pursuing purity. Ask them. I like to ask questions rather than like point the finger. That was something I had to like learn and get to, because I used to be a little different in my delivery. But just ask questions and see what they have to say, because maybe they're like their temptation, maybe they're dealing with warfare, maybe they're going through it. They don't need someone to be like disciplining them, but they need someone to show that they care and that they're watching out for them. And if you are a sister in Christ, like you want your friends to be pursuing the Lord and you know where their heart and their intentions are. So just make sure they're like continuing to pursue that and like call them higher. Be like, hey, like, I know that's not you. Like, what's going on? Not, oh my God, I can't believe you went out. Da 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 da. Like, don't be doing that. Also, don't be saying, oh my God. I never say that. That just slipped, but say, oh my gosh. Okay, we don't use the Lord's name in vain around here. I'm sorry. But anyway, call a sister higher, call a brother higher if you see them acting out of their normal character. And that's the power of environment. If you're in an environment that's like, hey, get drunk, why aren't you drinking? And they're just gossiping and it's just negativity, like you'll feel it in your spirit and you will feel really uncomfortable. And that's okay. It kind of sucks, to feel uncomfortable and to feel like maybe lonely. But just know that's like kind of an example of growth. And it's like you no longer fit there because God's placed you somewhere else now. But again, it's like, are your habits benefiting you, and are they paving a path for a better life? Are they paving a path for a more godly centered life? Are they moving the needle towards your goals that you have in life? Or are they doing the opposite? Like it's pretty much one or the other. Like your actions are either making you better and working towards your goals, or they're doing the opposite. So just really have a great balance of routines. And I talked a lot about last week 5 mistakes I made in my fitness journey. A lot of those correlate of overtraining and all of these not resting and recovering. Like you need a balance of everything. Just make sure it's a good fitting formula for you. Okay. Number 2, and this kind of goes into what I was just saying, but is have friends who want to see you win. This is big. Big, big, big. The ones who clap when you're not in the room, the ones who are talking you up when you're not in the room, ones who, if they were having a conversation, they'd be like, hey, my friend Chloe, like, actually would be a great person for you to talk to about this, or she's totally into this. Like, they're building you up even when you're not around. And it's not rare. You just have to find it. And those are the friends that like God will place in your life, I promise. And not that I didn't have those in my life in Iowa. I have great friends there, but my friends here, I have been very, I don't want to say selective, but aware with who I spend my time with. And I love, respect, and adore my friends here so much. Like I don't tell them enough. And I'm like trying to be I feel like I'm a bad friend because I don't tell them enough. I do, but like not as much as I should, because they have like the effect that they have on my life. And I know like your friends in your life have a great effect on you as well. It's like, that's why it's important to have good people. But it's like, I would not be where I am, or I would not still probably be in Arizona if I hadn't met these people, and I wouldn't be continuing to pursue the Lord and pursue my careers and my health and just have joy. Like last night when my friends came over, like that's really what truly I feel like moved the needle for me, and dug me out of that like rut and got me out of my funk. Like just laughing and talking and being able to like explain how I was feeling. They asked about how I was doing, and they were genuine in asking, and I explained, and I just felt like a weight off my chest, because we don't want friends who just agree to like make you happy or just to tell you what you want to hear. We don't need that. But to have friends there to like support you and to listen and just to help make you feel a little more sane and to relate, like it's so refreshing to the soul and to the mind, to the heart. Like that's why God calls us into fellowship and into community, and it's so important. But it's like we need those friends in our lives who are there on the drop of a dime, are there to like make you laugh, are there to comfort you. They're there for everything you need in that moment, but they'll also call you higher when you need that as well, because that is probably what you need sometimes. But you want friends who want to see you win. It's not a competition. I've had friends in the past and I've been the one in the wrong, but it's like everything was a competition. I was trying to be better, outdo them, have better clothes, be better in sports, have like whatever. We don't want competition. Like jealousy is the root of all evil, in my opinion. I really believe that. Like comparison and jealousy, just so far, we're just over that. It's gone. That can be a temptation that we maybe like stirs in our spirit, but like we can rebuke that. Literally rebuke it, say bye-bye. And when you have friends who are like rooting you on, like that just kind of dissolves, truthfully. So make sure you have those type of people in your life, okay? And number 3 is to have confidence in being misunderstood. This one's a little more unique and a little different than 1 and 2. But understand not everyone will get and understand what you do and why you do what you do. And that's okay. Okay. We have to be okay with being misunderstood, maybe being judged, or maybe being questioned. Everyone, okay, this is something I've learned recently, and we all live in our own truth. Everyone makes decisions and actions based on what they believe to be true. We all just have a different lens of what we believe is true. So we're going to disagree. That's why we have different preferences. That's why we all do different things. The main truth is in the Bible. Okay. So if we would just follow that biblical truth, then we stay away from things, but there are still other things in life that aren't tied to maybe like a biblical truth. Almost everything is, but people living in the world versus people living in the word, okay, are going to have different lenses, completely different lenses. And we just have to be okay with people not understanding. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. But understand that they don't understand because their truth is different than ours. Are we tracking? Are we following? Like if they're living in the world, what they perceive to be the right thing is genuinely what they think is right versus you. They're not going to understand. Yeah, we can like share the gospel. We can take them to church. We can introduce them to the word and hope they start to live more for like Christ. But we can't like get upset for people misunderstanding us and disagreeing and getting upset and mad. So it's like, I took a chance talking about my faith on social media, knowing, everyone's a Christian and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs and their own religion. That's totally fine. But I'm going to speak my truth because everything I do and say is rooted in the Bible. Okay. Well, I try to. Again, I'm not perfect. There's things that could be improved, but actively I try to be aware and consciously make effort to do that. But I know, and I knew going into that there were going to be people who disagreed, who got mad, who unfollowed, who hated on me. Like I went through it recently, actually, on social media. I lost a ton of followers because I spoke what I believe to be true. But in your early 20s, I think this is a season and a moment in our lives where we really start to uncover our own individual truths, and we actually start to live our lives in our own independent, unique ways. And we're all going to generate and create different narratives, different beliefs, different truths, different ways of life. And there's going to be like clashes. Things are going to clash. Not everyone's aligned. And even even Kyler and I, like we're both godly Christian people. We have so many similarities, but there's still things where it's like, this is my truth. This is your truth. We can agree to disagree. And that's okay. I think that's just part of maturing. It's not easy to do, trust me, but it's important because you just can live more peacefully like that. And if there's something that's just really I know this is right and I want them to understand, just pray for them. Be like, God, unveil that thing to them, like reveal it, speak to them, intercede. Just start praying rather than like prying on these people. Okay. And then moving on to number 4, you need this, a vision bigger than your comfort zone. Even if it's blurry, even if you don't understand what it is, this vision, you don't necessarily know exactly what the end result looks like, keep building towards it because growth starts with direction. So you need to have some sort of direction in your life. You need to be moving one way. This reminds me of like in college or in high school, I guess, everyone would ask like, what are you going to go to school for? Like, what do you want to do? What's your dream career? Like, where do you see yourself? And I would always be like, I don't know. I just want to mix my 2 passions of business and fitness. And I want to make it something. I said this in high school, early college. Look where it got me. Is that not nuts? Like, I didn't have an exact thing. Like, I didn't envision myself being a TikToker, podcaster, YouTuber, content creator, personal trainer. It wasn't like I didn't have that on like a vision board or a prayer board, but I knew I had those passions and I just actively did things to pursue that. I got a business degree. I got my CPT. I started posting some content. Like I started doing things and then it created this actual direction and career for me. So if you don't know exactly what you want to do or you don't exactly know what you want yet, that's okay. But be doing things in the like direction in the realm that fits it, and like all the pieces will fall into place. But like paralysis of analysis. If you overanalyze something and you try to make it perfect and you try to make a perfect plan, like one, let me tell you, you're not in control, God is. And he's going to throw pivots and wrenches and turns and twists and ups and downs all in that path. So it's not going to go the way you think it is anyways. So just like let go of that and just trust God, have faith, and do what you can and what's in front of you and take action. And it will all work out. Okay. It really, really will. And number 5 is the willingness to change. Okay. This is big. We need to be okay with changing. We need to be okay with being wrong. We need to be okay with pivoting. We need to be okay with thinking we're going to go one way, but then actually going another. We need to be okay with being obedient. Truthfully, just being obedient, because what we want and what our flesh desires is often not what God desires for us. And that's really hard because as you grow in your faith, as you mature, as you just grow up as a human being, like you will start to get different convictions, or if you're not Christian, like you'll feel guilty for certain things. And your mind will change. And I think a mistake I used to make was like, I would claim something and I would say it, I post it online, like, this is what I think, this is what I do. And then I have to continue that. Like I'm a woman of my word, right?